School resumption frenzy in the northwest and southwest regions, effective in some parts and timid in others. Standing tall amidst the security and health challenge, the move remains get an education. The right to education amidst the coronavirus pandemic, parents and pupils join school officials to bar the way to the deadly virus with prescribed measures respected for security and safety purposes. For the knowledge dispensed, the sacrifice to change societies, and for being the guiding star to every development, teachers are celebrated and their selflessness hailed as they enjoin to be leaders in times of crisis and to reimagine the future. Good evening and thanks for joining us. Those were the headlines of the 7:30 news.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
Welcome back. Over 2,000 pupils have hit the road to schools in Buea and in Limbe in the southwest region. To assess the effectiveness of the resumption of classes, Governor Bernardo Kalebilai told a number of institutions where he challenged the learners to be hardworking in order to obtain brilliant results at the end of the school year. Annabelle Ndike Enowanyang has the details.
These are the Form 5 students of the Presbyterian Comprehensive Secondary School, PCSS Buea, attending their first computer science class of the 2020-2021 academic year. A similar scenario at the Baptist High School Buea and the Seka Baptist College, Limbe, amidst the respect of COVID-19 barrier measures.
We saw that children are in the classrooms. They are respecting the measures prescribed by government. It's a very good beginning. We are inviting the other schools to do same. We want to tell the parents and the students that this is the beginning. And the beginning is very important.
Southwest Governor Bernard Bilai, in a jovial and an interactive session, urged the students to be focused and hardworking in order to achieve better results at the end of the school year.
In the northwest region, the 2020-2021 school reopening was rather timid in most parts of Bamenda. Despite the low turnout in schools like Government Bilingual High School, Bamenda Nkwe, where a handful of pupils answered present in Atsoda Datara, at the École Publique Les Champions Fondation, Chantal Bia, about 200 of the 650 expected learners were on campus. Karin Tosam tells us more.
These are the few students that answered present Monday, October 5 at GBHS Bamenda Nkwe. At GS Upstation, over 30 pupils are present, hoping for effective classes.
I was coming here hoping if teachers will be able to risk their lives to come and teach us, and I was prepared to learn. When I got here, it was only the headmistress who had come, so I was still waiting to see if the teachers are going to come.
Some school administrators observed that the teacher turnout was below expectation.
No teacher present. As you see, I'm here alone. I've just come to open. I thought that they will come. Maybe it is due to difficulties in transportation.
Unlike GBHS Bamenda Nkwe and GS Upstation, the turnout was encouraging elsewhere.
I was expecting that 650 plus the new registrations. We have today present close to 200.
School authorities are upbeat that this academic year will be void of school boycotts recurrent in the region for the past 4 years.
This school year will be particularly marked by the desire to halt the number of coronavirus infections in the country and the regard for children's rights to education. In the nation's capital, Yaoundé, both parents and the teaching staff are conscious of this challenge and are resolute to complete the year without any cases recorded. Beatrice Ngum visited some schools and now reports.
Waking up early after the long break was not easy, but they had to be up. Education first. The first day of school for this new school year was challenging, yet it started off effectively for both pupils and students. On campuses, parents were schooled on the orientations to give their kids with regards to the new organization. Schools with a high student population like Government High School Ikunu, with over 7,000 enrolled, will operate with a two-shift system.
With the shifting system, it is a bit very difficult because it is new. So all those coming in the morning and in the afternoon, they're still there. We welcome them. Then by tomorrow, everyone will know exactly what to do.
Learners of the nursery, primary and secondary schools have to cope with the new COVID-19 imposed rules. They must wash off COVID-19 from the school milieu.
We're taking measures that there should not be more than 50 children per class. Each child has a mask, the buckets and the savon to wash their hands. For the teachers, everything is there. They have the sanitizers.
Only 50 masked people and students per class. Such will be the new way to go this school year.
Stakeholders in the secondary education sector have been reminded to guard against enrolling more than 50 pupils per class in order to oust the coronavirus from the school milieu. The new school year was launched today in Balmayo by Secondary Education Minister Professor Nalova Lyonga, who also visited a number of schools in Nyong and So Division. Ewan Epole highlights the message delivered.
The 2020-2021 school year in the secondary education sector in the country has been launched under the theme Teachers, Students and Parents all together amid COVID-19, instituting a new paradigm. While launching the new school year in Balmayo, chief town of the Nyong and So division in the Central region, Minister Pauline Nalova Lyonga made an inspection visit to some public and private colleges in the municipality and gave firm instructions to principals and education stakeholders in regard to the respect of physical distancing measure.
I actually visited 5 institutions and I'm happy with what I saw. So, they are quite ready for the bilingualism of the future. English speaking, French speaking, they are one. These children are seeking to study. The children are young, they're the children of tomorrow. They should leave the children alone to be the Cameroonian children that the head of state wants them to be.
Meanwhile, at the launching ceremony, the minister called on parents to send their children to school, assuring them that all necessary measures have been put in place for the safety of the students.
With us to talk about how the 2020-21 school year in Cameroon is planned is the Minister of Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lyonga. Good evening, Prof, and thanks for being our guest on the 7:30 News.
Good evening. I'm very happy to be here.
The school year is on the rails. What's on program to ensure that it is a successful one in spite of the health challenge?
Well, I think that is well known to everybody because we have done this during the examination period. The children are used to it. They can almost just recite it because they are used to seeing the buckets on the road for them to wash their hands, the liquid for them to wipe their hands and all of that. It is all very, very familiar to the children today. All that we need to do is to expand it because before we catered for the examination classes with 24 students per class. But this time it's a full class, full scale, and therefore we have had to expand the measures this time to take care of the thousands of students that are coming to school this year.
And I guess you're talking there about the two-shift system. How will that function?
Well, the school this year is going to be different, very different from what people have seen before. It's different because not only are you going to have the usual long period of class that is from 7:30 to 3:30, but you're going to have a split or what you call a shift system by which you have 2 classes, one starting from 7:30 to 12:30 and the other from 1 o'clock to 5:30. That is 2 shifts. And in between all of that is what you're going to have, which is called distance education. And distance education is very elastic because you can do it at any time when you're not involved with a face-to-face class. So you have 5 hours of face-to-face and you have 3 hours of
distance education. That makes 8 hours.
Yeah.
I'm saying this because, you know, some people have said that we have reduced the hours. And I say, what hours have we reduced? They said they used to have 8 hours. I said, so if you have virtual classes for 3 hours and you have face-to-face for 5 hours, what does that make? 8 hours.
Okay, we're going to be talking about the virtual classes because it's important that we talk about how you intend to bridge the gap between rural and urban areas.
Right.
But now let's talk about the shift system. Is it going to be applied to all secondary schools? Will all secondary schools be going in the morning and in the evening?
Certainly not. I don't know why people are so attracted to having the shift system. The shift system simply means that you have more than the normal number of students to be in a classroom. And therefore, it is not all the schools that have overpopulated classes. If your class is not overpopulated, if it is not more than 50, then you don't have to split it. Okay. You don't have to have a shift system. So I don't expect to see schools that should not have a shift system having a shift system for the sake of making money.
Okay.
No.
Now, let's talk about distance learning. How do you bridge the gap between rural and urban areas? Not all children, we know of light issues, we know of access even to new information and communication technologies. How do you intend in your ministry to bridge that gap?
But I'm surprised that anybody should ask about this because the children are going to school anyway. How are they going to school? If they don't have light, they don't have all of that. Distance education means that you're doing it with several tools.
What are these tools?
It's going to be print. It's going to be, you're going to have print and you're going to have TV, you know. And if you can't have, most of those who are complaining about the fact that they don't have a light or whatever, these lessons are printed.
Okay.
And these lessons, besides, are going to be available to the children. The children are going to have them. And so there is no problem whether it's in the hinterland, whether it's wherever it is, they are going to have it. And the good thing about the head of state is that he just doesn't bring something which he cannot do. If he has decided that something is going to be done in class, it is certainly going to be done in class. He's going to give the means for that to be done. And he gave money, and we have targeted precisely the rural areas. So it's going to happen. It's just going to take a little more time. Even the buildings that we're doing, it's going to take a little more time for it to be. But he has made the allocation for that to happen.
Today is the 5th of October. We're celebrating teachers. For once, the World Teachers' Day is coinciding with Back to School in Cameroon. How do you see the role of teachers in reimagining the future?
Well, I think that if I ask you, what would you do without teachers? Nothing. Somebody has to teach you for you to do what you're doing. Without teachers, you're nowhere. It's a happy coincidence in some way that these two people are celebrating something. I can say we are celebrating because everybody is happy to go back to school. School is a place where you have added solutions, added value to what you are coming with. Somebody is going to teach you something. So the children are celebrating because they are going to learn something. And the teachers are also celebrating. I should say Happy Teachers' Day to all the teachers in Cameroon. And this day is a day when you celebrate the best of the best. Okay. You know, these are the teachers who have mastered their trade, and they are happy to be with their teachers. Sometime we'll be able to celebrate this day that we have not celebrated. But COVID year is a special year, and everything is special. Everything that we knew is not happening in the same way that we knew it. So that is why we are not celebrating the way we would usually celebrate. But at the same time, I want to thank all the teachers. I want to praise all the teachers for the very good things that they have done to Cameroonian children.
Teachers are also worried about the number of hours that they will be putting into dispense knowledge, 22 hours or maybe more. How's that going to happen?
But they have not even started. They have not even started. They're talking about hours. You know, before you do those hours, you have to have a number of hours that you must teach. So they have to teach those hours, and then we can begin to talk about extra hours. I said before, the head of state does not do something which he cannot. He does not start something which he cannot do. He would not ask you to come and teach several hours and he doesn't pay you. So forget about that. That's not your realm. Something is going to happen, perhaps.
Incentives, maybe.
Well, I mean, you can imagine that something is going to happen. But don't be of bad faith to start talking about it even before you have started.
Thank you very much, Prof. Before you leave us, maybe you have a word or two for the teachers.
For the teachers, I'll just say they should just keep being as professional as they have been, and let us continue to make the children the future, what we call them, the future real children of hope, the Android generation. And I'm telling their parents that the parents, please put your phobia behind you and let the children go and show themselves that they are the children of the future. Don't be afraid that they will not learn from these things. After all, we're showing them foreign films. Have we ever been worried about whether or not they understood those films? No. Why are we worried about whether or not they will understand their lessons? Those are Android children. Parents follow them on and become Android parents.
Thank you very much for being our guest on the 7:30 News tonight.
Thank you so much for being with you.
We continue the news with how pupils with hearing deficiencies who have resumed classes today are keeping safe from the coronavirus. At Eseda Yaoundé, one of the specialized institutions, 53 pupils were today sensitized on how to wash their hands regularly, wear their face masks and respect physical distancing while at school. Alice Mbaye watched the school authorities at work. She now reports for the news.
At the special school for children with audit deficiencies, the reading this first day is relatively slow. School authorities say they opened their doors this morning with 53 pupils.
We have sensitized the children on how to wash their hands, wear their face mask, and to respect distance measures. We also have sanitary kits in front of each class. Our school has always had 15 pupils per class and each per desk.
Given the special needs of the pupils, teachers have to make an extra effort to get them respect distancing measures, especially at break times.
We have divided the break period into 2 shifts. The little ones will go out at 9:30 a.m., while the senior ones will go at 10:30 a.m. and under the supervision of teacher.
This 48-year-old establishment, known for its relatively small pupils population, is one of those schools which do not need to adopt the 2-shift system.
Over in the littoral region, about 95% of students, teaching and administrative staff in schools in Douala responded to the school reopening call today. As early as 6 a.m., the streets were characterized by the usual bustle that comes with the first day of school. The Secretary General at the Littoral Governor's Office, Thierry Kinunana, was keen on the respect of anti-COVID-19 measures. Alphonse Abongwa reports.
This Monday, October 5, eagerness could be read on the half-covered faces of students as they trooped into campuses. In Government High School Jos, just like Stephen International Bilingual School Complex and other institutions, the rules are clear.
They have to wear their masks every day, wash their hands every time.
We have made sure that before the students enter the school in the morning, they put on their face masks.
The Secretary General at the Littoral Governor's Office, accompanied by the Littoral Regional Delegate for Secondary Education and the Vuri Divisional Delegate for the same ministry, crisscrossed campuses in Douala 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5.
We have already reached the road of 90% of effective presence of students on the field.
For secondary and high schools that will not be able to cover up for missing hours, parents will have to go an extra mile to acquire smartphones such that these students catch up through online classes.
In the far north region, teachers were particularly admonished to be at their best to accompany pupils during this school year. Governor Miji Abubakari made a tour to some schools today in Marua to assess their engagement and enjoin parents who were yet to send their children to school to make haste. Sylvester Atemking reports.
An atmosphere of family reunion characterized school campuses in Marua as learners and teachers once meet after a long vacation imposed by the coronavirus. During his tour to some of the schools in Marua, Governor Mijawa Bakari observed that hand-washing stations have been set up and other anti-COVID measures beefed up in line with government prescription.
Many measures have been taken. First of all, the using of the mask and the washing hands places have been also provided.
Same scenario in other schools where Governor Mijawa Bakari emphasized on the need to respect safety tips in the school milieu.
Student people are out and their numbers. Teachers are there. No major incident has been recorded so far.
A festive mood too among the education community as this first day of 2020-2021 academic year coincides with the celebration of Teachers' Day with emphasis on their role in reshaping the society.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
Thousands of primary school pupils who have begun classes ought to be totally protected from the coronavirus that still lingers on. Basic education officials are those concerned about how the preventive prescriptions can be applied to the letter. This is our focus tonight as we take you to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center to meet Baldwin Sama and his guest, Dr. Yannick Yonta. Hi, Baldwin. How can the food protection be assured?
Kmer, effectively, that is what we shall be discussing tonight with our guest, Dr. Yannick Yonta. And Jumewu is an epidemiologist and the sub-director for school health in the Ministry of Basic Education. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, Sama.
What feedback can you make so far talking about the respect of barrier measures against COVID-19 in the different primary schools in the Central region this day?
First of all, I will thank you for this question and say that the general evaluation of the school measure sanitary is satisfactory, because when we go to school today, we see that every actor respect the measure prescribed by the government and put in place by the Ministry of Basic Education, such as washing hands, wearing masks, respect clean school, and respect all the measure which is prescribed.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for being a guest this evening. We continue evaluating these measures tomorrow with the Ministry of Secondary Education. Back to you, Esther.
Thanks, Baldwin. Today is World Teachers' Day, with teaching leadership being recommended in times of crisis. Instructors across the globe are reflecting on how to stay committed to give out knowledge in spite of the health risks posed by the coronavirus. The Secretary of State in the Ministry of Basic Education, Professor Ashiri Kilo, launched the day on the theme Teachers, Leaders in Times of Crisis, Reimagining the Future. She now expounds on the leadership role played by teachers in difficult moments.
During these times of COVID, when we need to make sure that our students are taken care of, teachers played a lead role in having the students back, as they did in July, played the bold role of setting the exams for the kids. They successfully did, and the results this year, despite the COVID, were better than the results of 2019. And today, again, being the first day of school resumption, all the teachers are out there again, and it is a wonderful coincidence that this first day coincides with our celebration of World Teachers' Day.
The World Teachers' Day is designed to celebrate teachers for the role they play in molding citizens for a better tomorrow. There is no doubt that we are all what we are thanks to the sacrifice and efforts of teachers. Tonight, the 7:30 News looks at how you can show gratitude to these givers of light. A letter of gratitude to a teacher is in this report by Constantine Baum.
Thank you for being one of the special educators who will live on forever in the minds and hearts of the students whose lives you have touched. I am one of them. I may not have always shown it, but I am grateful to have had such an awesome teacher like you. If there were a Nobel Prize for Best Teachers, I am sure you will get it. I would like to apologize for all the times I should have paid more attention, for the times I had an attitude, and for not appreciating the hard work and effort that you put into teaching me the lessons I needed to learn. Thank you for spending your valuable time teaching me, my friends, and your inspiration touch other teachers as well. Even in this challenging time of COVID-19, I recognize your indispensable service as you continue to activate the hunger for knowledge and wisdom. I know your job is stressful and the hours are long with a package not worth taking home, but you are always kind and understanding. I challenge anyone in the whole world to find a better teacher than you. In spite of the gunshots and killings of some of your colleagues in the Northwest and Southwest regions, you still provided us with support. You still accepted to teach in the Fano region, where Boko Haram philosophies challenge your passion. Your charisma helped us persevere. I'm confident about who I am and what I can achieve. I wonder what the world would be if there were no teachers.
A beautiful love letter to teachers, to whom we say Happy Teachers' Day. The Orange Foundation will be renovating some 35 schools and building boreholes as its contribution to better quality education. An agreement to that effect was signed with the Ministry of Basic Education. Some 500 scholarships will also be offered to pupils throughout the national territory. Ebude Ekane tells us more in this advertorial.
These documents seals the deal between the Cameroon Orange Foundation and the government of Cameroon. The Minister of Basic Education, Professor Laurent Serge Etundingwa, signed on behalf of the government, while the board chair of the Cameroon Orange Foundation, Frederic Debord, signed on behalf of his structure. The partnership agreement between both parties seeks to provide quality education in primary schools across the country.
In terms of infrastructure, where we are rebuilding the schools, and by building the schools, it's a classroom, but it's as well the toilets and the water point, but as well providing contents, providing ways to go to the contents with some tablets, with some servers, and we have more than 25 classrooms which has been developed for with this program.
One of the main activities of the Cameroon Orange Foundation is the program Education for All and the program of the digitalization of education.
Today was the formalization of a process that has been going on since 2007 with the Orange Foundation Cameroon. They have been doing a lot of things with our schools and with our children in terms of improving the quality of education that we give our children. They have done a refurbishing of schools, they have built schools, they have computerized schools, they've built latrines, they've built classrooms for our kids.
In the days ahead, the Cameroon Orange Foundation will offer 500 scholarships in the 10 regions of Cameroon.
We have two actions in the near future. The first one is to give back house we have rebuilt in the northern part of the country, and we have decided to offer 500 scholarships for youth in the 10 regions of the country, and this scholarship will be composed of books, of tools, and as well of tuition fees.
Since its inception in 2009, the Orange Cameroon Foundation is working in the domains of health and education.
And that will be all for this edition of the 7:30 News, in which you heard that millions of pupils have begun their classes for the first term of the 2020-2021 school year. More news will be at 8:30 p.m. with Adel Mbala. I'll be back tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. God willing, have a pleasant evening. Good night and thanks for watching.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing.
Son corps, c'est la magie. Sa peau est douce, comme de la soie. Sa peau est éclatante, comme les rayons du soleil. Sérieux, elle dégage un parfum d'une douceur. Je me suis levé du lit en me demandant de quelle planète pouvait venir cette fille. Quand je suis entré dans la salle de bain, c'est alors que j'ai découvert la source de sa clarté, l'origine de l'éclat de sa peau. Netskin, savon antiseptique aux actifs bioéclaircissants.
Netskin, idéal pour la santé et la clarté de ma peau.
Et donc, pourquoi garder ta relation avec lui secrète? Tu n'en avais pas l'intention. Tu veux dire que tu as oublié de le présenter?
Il m'a demandé de ne pas le faire.
Et tu n'as rien trouvé d'anormal qu'un étranger que tu viens juste de connaître veuille se tenir à l'écart du public?
Le public? C'est juste la famille. Et puis, il n'y a rien d'anormal à vouloir garder un profil bas. En plus, il voulait nous aider. Du moins, c'est l'impression que j'avais en ce moment.